Stitchers, welcome to Tatreez Talk, where we share conversations about Palestinian embroidery. I'm Lena, here with my co-host Amani, chatting with talented embroiderers and artists, sharing their stories, inspirations, and the cultural significance behind their work.
Today, we are welcoming back a past guest who we had the pleasure of interviewing. What I don't even remember what season was it, season one or season
I think it
two?
was season
I think it was
one.
season one. So if you haven't listened, definitely go back and listen. But today we are talking to Kiki, and we are going to be diving into the world of color theory, how colors shape our stories, our moods, and the way we experience it through Tatreez. So welcome back to Tatreez Talk, Kiki. We're so excited to have you here again.
Thanks, y'all. I'm really excited to be back and to talk about
Yes.
color. It's like my
Yeah.
favorite thing.
Yeah, I remember we talked about it during the first episode, so we knew we wanted to bring you back. So I'm glad that we could make it happen. And I know I personally get a lot of questions about colors, like
Yeah.
how do you get the right palette, and how, why do some things seem to like be really appealing to the eye versus other things? And there's actually a little bit of a science, I guess, behind it.
hmm
So maybe to kick us off, if you could define what color theory is for our audience, and maybe like why does it matter for people who practice Tatriz?
Yeah, so color theory, I'm just gonna give like a very bare bones Google breakdown of it, but it's basically a science, and it's like a study of how colors interact with each other and how like our actual anatomy interacts with color, or how we perceive it and how like emotionally we're in tune to it. So, basically, this can go just like generally across the board for any visual artist beyond Tatreez, but if you work with color, how you use color definitely like ends up changing how things are perceived, generally speaking. So I work a lot with color and I studied in college and before I even went to college, I was always like interested in like making vibrant works. But I took some scientific illustration classes and there were just like some moments where like my mind was just like blown by like what the professor was showing us. So like things like how light and how light affects color and how like both are intrinsically like connected. So like say there was like an example that one of my professors, amazing artist, actually. Her name is Peggy McNamara, and she's actually the scientific illustrator in residence at the Field Museum in Chicago. Really beautiful watercolor like painter. Um, but she would just be like, all right, so like we're just gonna like do like a very quick, let me show you what I'm talking about, basically, and would like turn all the lights off in the room and like turn on like a purple light. And the shadow from that light would be yellow, which is like the direct scientific opposite of purple,
Hmm.
which is a complementary color. So like there's a color wheel, right? Have you guys, I'm sure like every art
Yes.
class, fundamental art class will like make you draw or paint a color wheel. But like there's like the primary colors, which are yellow, red, blue, and then the secondary colors, which is like mixing two primary colors. So you got green, orange, and purple, and like where these colors fall on the color wheel opposite of each other are like the scientific opposite. So orange and blue are complementary, purple and yellow, and then red and green. Um, yeah,
Yeah. This is a
that's
perfect moment for people to Google what a color wheel is if you are not familiar.
oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it'll be one of those things where it's like, oh, it's a rainbow. Duh. But the more you mix colors, the more complex the color wheel gets, and then that like leaves more opportunity for creating really diverse color palettes. And say like if you're doing it from a drawing perspective, like, oh, like I'm gonna go with like a traditional color palette, just like draw exactly what I see, you'll start to realize like, oh, like shadow isn't like gray. It's like, oh, we're gonna use like deep blues and purples or whatever, you know, whatever
Hmm.
you want to express shadow and shade and highlights and whatever. So with Tatreez, it's a little different because you're just doing like a stitch on like a one color on top of a one color, and
Hmm.
you have room to put stuff next to each other, and that leaves like possibilities for like color blending if you're doing like every stitch a different color, but I don't know anyone that crazy. But there are those like there are those like threads that are like a color melt. You know what I'm
The
talking
variegated,
about?
yeah, the
Yeah,
variegated thread. Yeah, yeah,
that's what it
yeah.
is. There are that and stuff like that. So like it just leaves like it changes like the way that the color is expressed in Tatreez. But generally like you want to do different like people want to do different palettes, but back in the day people were sort of just using like a one to two, three color palette for the thobes.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but
Wait,
generally
okay.
like
Also, I'm like so curious. I never ever ever considered doing one stitch in one color.
yeah, to do like a crazy rainbow like
Now I'm like,
Technicolor
yeah,
taupe.
yeah. Well, now I'm like really curious. Could you give kind of a perception of like making new colors by doing that, do you think?
Probably, yeah. I mean, like, say you're like, oh, I want to do like, I want to melt like purple to blue.
Yeah.
So, or like red to blue
Mhm.
and like have purple in between. So you start with like maybe some all red stitches and then like start crossing a red with a purple and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
going in from purple to blue and then blue to,
Yeah.
you know.
This is an
You know what
interesting
I've
idea.
seen? I have seen people take, especially with kind of counted cross stitch because it's most common to use embroidery floss. I've seen people take multiple colors of thread and combine them to kind of have
Mm,
like their own like little blend. And depending on how you stitch, it can change the look and feel of the color of like what the color looks like and what the piece looks like when it's finished stitch. So all plays into color theory clearly.
Totally. I mean,
yeah.
and I've definitely seen some really cool embroidery where people are definitely like pushing the boundaries. I just haven't seen it in the context of Tatreez, basically, where
Yeah.
where like it's like, oh, we're gonna do some wild like color melting. But it, you know, it's a thought. It's an
Mhm.
idea.
Yeah, I'm so curious about this. Well, okay, so going back to Tatreez, a lot of the colors, when especially if you go back like decades and decades when they were using natural pigments for their dyeing of the thread and the dyeing of the fabric as well. I'm curious about the connection between color theory and just nature because a lot of it is like whatever colors you can see. Like I've been told or I've been taught by dyers, whatever colors you can see and witness in nature, you can also recreate in like natural dyeing. So I'm curious, is there any sort of, I don't know, connection between nature
It's
and color theory?
I'm not like an expert in like natural dyes. I will say that like the Palestinian, they got it down to a science back
Yeah,
in the
Mhm.
day. But like, you know, like using snail shells to create like magenta is wild.
exactly,
But
exactly.
like there's some like in the times that I have used natural dyes, like it's like a yes and no. Like an
Mhm.
avocado peel will make like a pink color. So
Yeah,
or like you know
yeah.
what I mean? Or pit or then onion peels make certain colors and
Yeah.
so really it's like more of an experimental thing, I guess. Which I
Well,
encourage.
I'm wondering more about like the appealing of it to the eye. Like I feel like Patrice, even though it is using one or two colors, you know, back in the day or even now, it's
Hmm.
still really beautiful. Like there's something really powerful about seeing that as like a someone who engages with it from a visual perspective. Like I don't know, I feel like it just works. And I don't know if that's because of the connection to nature or it's just like we are working with less colors.
Well, historically, like, you know, from what I've understood, um, like the women who were developing Tatreez over the hundreds of years or whatever, you know, they couldn't like they weren't like literate in like the reading and writing sense, so they were creating a visual language based off
Mhm.
their surroundings. And
Mhm.
so that could have been anything from like the nature, the flora, the fauna, and you see like the gazelles
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
peacocks and the roosters and the flowers of all different variations, all the agriculture. But then you also see like the dragons that probably came from like some fancy East Asian vase or like silk
Mhm.
Mm.
or something via the Silk Road. And so like there's a lot to be said about like what the women were exposed to when they were developing Tatreez, but it just leaves room for the possibilities of like Tatreez being developed further now. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I'm here for that. Like, and we
Yeah.
have way more
Definitely.
access to like pre-dyed stuff and more
Mhm.
access to learning how to do natural dye stuff with the internet at our fingertips.
Mhm.
So I'm like, I'm here for like the experimentation. I wish I had more time to
I
experiment with it
hear
on the
you.
Tatreez
Yeah.
level,
I know.
but I'm more power to anyone who does. That'd be tight.
Yeah, I did a dye situation with fabric and some thread last year, like the end of last year, and it was like my first time doing it, which was fun. And I wanted to continue to do it and play around, but it's just like, yeah, at the time.
It's a lot of
We-
time. It's a
Yeah,
huge time thing. And I'm
yeah.
like, all right, I'll just buy
One
the
day.
stuff. One day.
One day.
I weave on a floor loom, actually.
Hmm.
That's my loom right there.
Oh,
Anyway,
amazing.
but I like went back to Palestine this spring and I went to Jordan. And I saw the we dyed Kawada's collection in
Hmm.
Amman. Very, very cool. And like I would
Hmm.
highly recommend. But like the thing that stuck out to me was like the original Majdalawi fabrics that they had
Mm.
down
Yeah.
there. And like those are like all beautifully dyed with like just like, indigos and again like this seashell like dyes.
Hmm.
And I don't exactly remember what they made like that beautiful like green color with, but anyway, really cool stuff. So I think I'm gonna try, not dye process wise, but try to recreate some Mesh Dalawi fabric on the
That'd
loom.
be really cool.
Yeah, it's like there's not a lot of people who know how to weave that anymore. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna do some research and try
Oh,
to get
yes.
into that.
That would be beautiful. Please do.
I'll try. We'll see.
Okay, so speaking, I know you were touching on kind of the traditions and how Tatreez was done and all of that. Can you give a little context for people? Because I think a common question people ask is like traditionally, like what are the colors and what do colors mean? Because I think a lot of people, because of the machinification of
Hmm.
TWAB specifically, people tend to imagine Tatreez as only black or white fabric with red thread, and that's kind of what the beginning and end is. So can you shed light on that for people who are
Mm.
curious?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, I want other people to do their own research on Tatreez too. And so like there's so many good literature, like there's great literature for like just regional Tatreez in Palestine, but that red and black and red and white stuff is like specific to the mullah for the most part, especially the red and
Mm-hmm.
white, like the white fabric, red stitching.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you go to, if you look at the Tatreez traditions of other regions, you'll see that like where there was indigo prevalent, like then you see like deep blue stitching, like in the Nakab. And just like in Yafa, there's completely different colors. And then
Mm-hmm.
of course in Beit Lahem and Al Quds, they were doing like the couching stitching with like metallic fabric or
Mm-hmm.
metallic threads and wild silks from Damascus and just like velvets and stuff. And then the Ghazawis were by the sea and they were using the seashell stuff. So you see a lot of magentas, a lot of hot pinks. And in the north, actually, what I found intriguing, because the north is so close to Syria, people were actually like importing like fabrics from Syria, and like there wasn't a lot of like Tatriz stitching on some of the stuff from the northern parts of Palestine. And there's a little shade. From what I've understood, they were a little shady about it, and they were like, "Well, we work the fields, and we don't have time to like we have busier hands than like the kind of unbusy hands that the ladies in the South have, and they can just make tatriz thobes and stuff. We don't decorate our stuff like that. So it depends, and like you'll see how that like transforms through color. But definitely like, tatriz and tea is a really good like piece of literature to start. And then there's so many other books, just like to get into learning about like the different regions and how like color was used. There's like some speak and talk about like what different colors mean on thobes, and like that's open to speculation. Like, oh, if you were wearing like bright colored like rainbow stitching, that means you're unmarried, and red stitching was reserved to married women, and blue stitching was for widows. And it's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, but that doesn't really apply anymore. I don't think those
Yeah.
standards, if they did apply back then, I don't think they're like the general. I wear a red and black though, but I'm still single, honey. Like I'll say that. So, but yeah, that's generally like my understanding of it. I don't like to put too much rules on Tatreez. I'll leave that for other people.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so this is actually a really good segue into my next question for you, which is, we want to experiment. We're here for the experimenting. We're here for like, exploring the different combinations of colors. Let's say someone just doesn't know how to deal with colors. Like it's intimidating. They don't know how to begin. Like how would you recommend someone think about color palettes and creating something for a Tatreez project that they might be working on?
Introducing the drop that nobody asked for, Resolute RGL, the sneaker that takes centuries of Palestinian resistance and sells it back to you in leather. Co-founder Yossi Levin calls it empowerment. We call it exploitation. Same guy who once erased Palestinians from his projects in Haifa, now stitching Tatreez into a shoe to build his quote-unquote multi-million-dollar brand. They say it's bridging local and global. Translation: Palestinian women stitch, Europe profits, Israel wins. Limited edition, unlimited hypocrisy. Don't buy the hype, boycott Resolute RGL. This anti-ad was produced by Tatreez Talk. We stitch, we talk, we boycott.
That's actually a good question. I love doing color palette. Like my color palettes are wild though. So like I'll go with like completely random colors and make them look good together. But I think like especially to start, so back to the color wheel real quick. So we talked about like the primaries and the secondaries and the complementaries, but then when you start mixing two colors side by side on the color wheel, those become like analogous colors. So you can get like when you mix blue and green, you get blue green and like teals, and so like say you want like a color palette that's like mainly within the blue green family, you can do like maybe four shades between green and blue and some teals. But then like it would be really smart to throw in a complementary color. So like a nice orange or a coral or something, just to like, because what complementary colors end up doing, they can either tone down the color, like say like, it depends on how you're using it again, but like it could be like a blue light to an orange shadow would tone down the blue light. But somehow, some way, scientifically, there's this optical illusion that happens where complementary colors also brighten each other up. And so that's sort of like why you see like in sports teams, a lot of their like uniform is like complementary, like the Lakers are yellow and purple,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So like those bright colors are actually like they jump out and make each other more, they complement each other. So I would say like, you're gonna do a blues and greens, like throw in like a reddish, a peachish, a pink, or an orange or something in your color palette. So like you can have like five solid colors, but at least one of them should be complementary. Like that's a good general start to it. And that can go for any of the other colors too. So say you're like, I see a lot of like people do like the oranges, like deep burgundy to orange as like the melt of colors, but then like generally there should be a green. And you will see like an olive green in that. Like so people got the color theory down, whether it's like through like historical knowledge or like through intuition or through studying or whatever, but like I think the best idea would be to do a complementary color and just like play around with it, see what works. Add more colors if you want, make it super funky. Like we got them garden thobes, those are like straight rainbows.
Yeah.
So like yeah, there's a lot of room, and generally I don't see thobes that I don't like. So I'm like, someone took the time to stitch something, like it's no matter what color it is, it's probably gonna look good.
Yeah, it's funny. When Lena and I were together recently in New York, we were talking about our thobes, and I was saying, I was like, I realized as I was looking for thobes to wear, I have so many garden thobes, and I'm so drawn to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I just do. I love the harmony of the colors together. And I have some, different colors, different styles of garden thobes, but they all have the similarity of having like these harmonious colors, and like just very soothing. So I guess ask next question beyond that. How would you recommend someone, and you kind of like started answering this, but how would you recommend for someone to balance a bold color with kind of more subtle colors?
That is a good question. I would say like so I have this really cool thobe that is like on like a sky blue fabric. And then all the stitching is like, and this is like a vintage, like some secondhand though that I got in Palestine, but the stitching is all in like this bright variegated orange.
Mhm.
Like, and it's like my favorite. It's so cool. I'm like obsessed with it. But like, it's just one of those things where like, I guess if you're making the thobe, again, like the way to balance that out would be to like use like, like if you don't want it super flashy, like use toned down colors. Like that's a
Mhm.
simple one, right? But if you want to balance it out, you want to like do these like combinations with like, again, like to move away from like the complementary flashiness, because like the complementary color is usually going to make things pop a little more. To move away from that, like maybe like use like a very toned down version of a complementary color, or like just like stick to the analogous and no complementaries, like stuff like that. You just like, again, it's when you're at, I don't know, Michael's or wherever store you get your thread plug from, like just sit there and like sort of like, again, just stick to like maybe five. That's like, I feel like that's like the general,
Yeah.
it's like a general good like range of colors to work with. 5 color though is pretty intense, but
Mm.
like if you don't want it to be super flashy, then don't. Like if you're, especially if you got the money to like, or like the time to make your own though, like yeah, you get like full creative freedom on that.
Mhm.
So like I think like, some people like natural nude tone colors and stuff. I'm like, more power to you. Use like a brown scale if you need to, like light tans to deep browns. That's actually sounds like a really pretty thobe. And so like
Planning the next one.
I'm telling you, like I've wanted to like I want like specifically like a black on white, like black stitching. I want to see that. That sounds cool. Like I
Ooh,
want that.
yeah.
And I haven't
That
seen
would be
that.
stunning.
I know. I'm like, that
Yeah.
sounds really cool.
Yeah.
So that, and for me, I'm like, I'm not gonna make a thobe. Maybe one day I'll make one. Props to you guys for making yours. But like,
Girl, I did not make
if
my thought. That's
okay,
Lena.
well, Lena make
I'm
Lena
on
made
the
a
same
thobe.
page as you. I like to
Lena
make
made
the
a
little art pieces.
thobe. One day when I commission my own thobe.
Exactly. Same. Same friend.
I'm like, damn, do I want my first one to be a black on white? Hell no. That's for when I'm
Yes.
really balling like in like my
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
50s or something. But yeah, I don't know. There's like so many options, and I think that like really the balance is a personal style choice situation, and like you should know your own style generally. For me, I am not like, I wear a lot of black, like right now I am, but like generally like I'm all about like colorful thobes, so I don't have any toned down ones. I'll say that.
Yeah.
So I'm curious then, how do you, and maybe this is also, I'm curious from like your artistry, like not even just Tatreez, but the other art that you do. What is your process, or maybe what inspires the colors that you end up using? And then I'm also curious if you have any information or like knowledge around the emotions that certain colors evoke, and like, is there any reasoning or science behind that as well? Like, I'm curious.
I am not an expert on the emotional part of color. I will say that right now.
You actually, I think
Um,
you are. You just maybe not
maybe,
like with a
maybe I don't have the,
PhD or something,
I'm
you
like, maybe I
know?
don't have like the actual language for it. Maybe I like know how it
Yeah.
makes me feel, but like,
Yeah.
I think that like, you know, generally maybe like red is rage or like, something like that. Green is calm.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not sure. 100%. Like, I know that there's like, we can probably do a quick Google search,
I know,
honestly.
like, for example, like purple evokes royalty. I
Mm.
actually, Amanda,
Yeah,
you
like
know some of this stuff
historically.
in like branding. I feel like you,
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head. I've definitely
yeah, but
taken classes
there's like
off on
emotions
these
around it.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, no, there definitely is. And there's like reasons why businesses are certain colors. Like I think like red and yellow is like a common color for like fast food because it makes you want to leave. It doesn't make you want to stay. It's not like comfortable and
Um,
cozy. So you're not going to want to hang out and stay for long.
Wow. That's so
Yeah.
wild.
I know.
That sucks.
There's all these there definitely is
oh, it's
like
also why
okay.
like the meta and whatever all use blue because
Yeah, it's like a calm or like secure color or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I'm looking
Yeah.
at a list right now. I hate and love the AI overview on Google. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry I used a whole water bottle of energy just to look
I
this up, but
know.
B, I have a pretty good list of what things mean. So like, red, it like depends, culturally, because in places like China, it can symbolize like good fortune and happiness, but then it gets often associated outside with like passion, love, excitement, rage, aggression, danger. Orange
Yeah.
is energy, enthusiasm, and creativity. See, yellow is happiness, optimism, and energy. Green, growth, nature,
Does it make
peace.
sense to you? Like, are you noticing any like
Yeah, but these are like we were
crossover
just
with your
talking
work?
about this. But I mean, like for me, no. Like I think that like I just like I don't think about it in that
Yeah.
Yeah.
emotional context when I'm making work. I just like color
Yeah.
personally. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish I was like the person that was like, oh yeah, I'm like really out here, like really thinking about what this will
Yeah.
make me feel like. But what something makes me feel like is not gonna make like someone else feel the same way. But for me, I'm just like, oh, this shit looks good. Like I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And generally like my process is like I'm at the art supply store and I buy way too much art supplies and so
Relatable.
like I'll just like get like tons of colors and then when I start a painting, which it takes me forever to start works. Once I start, I'm like, oh, I want to throw everything into it and like try out
Hmm.
all these new tubes of paint that I have. But like I do it in a way that like uses like some kind of like balance. Here, let me just like find. Give me like 1 second. I'm gonna find a painting or two to show you guys. You guys see that?
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah,
beautiful.
that's really pretty.
Yay. I can't hear y'all
Oh,
because I don't have my headphone. So
oh yeah, no, that's really pretty. I like that. I like the pink. Of course, I like the pink.
Yeah, yeah, of course you like the pink.
Of course, I like the pink.
oh my god, yeah, the pink masjid was crazy.
Yeah,
I
no,
love
that's
that.
like that's stunning. I love that.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, and this piece I started because like I got hired to do a live painting
mhm,
and I like put off like planning the painting to like the last minute. So I was just like sitting in a room full of people when they were like some of them were watching me paint. I was like, shit, I gotta start painting. Like so I just started like experimenting with different colors and like some of the tubes were new and I was just like, what does
mhm,
this color look like? And what does this color look like? So for me, that's generally how it goes. But then like once I get into like a skeletal groove of stuff, then I'm
mhm,
like, all right, now I'm gonna start using my color theory and like, you know, light, shade, all that. That's just my process. Um, and that's like with this specific kind of paint. With watercolor or different medium, it's gonna be a different process generally.
mhm. Do you, and I think I know the answer to this, but pretend I don't. Do you tend to be drawn to specific colors or like color palettes?
Um, I have favorite colors. More recently I'm into pink, turns out.
Hey,
I know, like I
look at
love
that.
magenta. But I've always loved orange and
Mhm,
green. Like, and so you'll see a lot of those colors in my work for sure, and like variations of it. So like a teal, aqua,
mm,
and then like some neon oranges and like stuff like that. Like those always you'll find them in my work. And I'm like, all right, well, damn, I have like a recurring color palette, I guess, but it's fine. I'm cool with it.
I love that. It's a signature.
There we go. Yeah, because I like it's funny, like I'm developing more of like a painting style more recently, but like my work across mediums, because I do textile, I do print work, I do embroidery and painting and murals. And like generally speaking, they don't they don't like mesh like, oh, this is all the same artist. Like maybe sometimes like the color palette is like the unifier though.
Hmm.
For me. It's like my textiles don't look the same as my paintings and they don't look like the same person made them. I get bored very easily, and so I medium hop a lot.
This season's hottest look, genocide. From the brand that brought you fast fashion comes fast track complicity. Zara just opened its largest ever store in Israel, 45 square meters of settler chic, while Gaza buries its dead. Their Israeli franchisee hosted far-right minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, who calls for shooting civilians and expelling Palestinians. His review: beautiful clothes, beautiful Israelis. Our review: ugly politics. And yes, the jacket ad, mannequins shrouded like Palestinian bodies next to rubble. Zara called it a, quote, misunderstanding and kept cashing apartheid checks. Boycott Zara and all Indedex brands: Bershka, Massimo Dutti, Pull&Bear, Stradivarius, Oysho, Zara Home, because genocide is never in season. This anti-ad was produced by Tatreez Talk. We stitch, we talk, we boycott. Yeah, and I imagine that some color palettes you're drawn to depending on the medium, right?
Yeah,
Just
totally.
yeah, I think all of our listeners know what Amani's color palette is. Different shades of pink.
I love
You
that.
know, a little purples too.
Little purples. Everyone knows mine too. I'm like very fall, autumn, like leaves. Like that's the color palette I go towards. But it's interesting. Like I think I got kind of bored of it because I did my thobe in that color palette, and I'm like I did too much of it, and now I want to get into other different colors.
You gotta run it up. Just try some new stuff out.
You do, and that's I guess it's interesting. That's probably that's like the one problem with like the length that it takes of time to make a thobe is like you're kind of stuck with these colors for a long time, and it's hard to experiment with color palettes if you're focusing on that one project.
I find that like, and for me, like I do a lot of like Tatreez design, like as graphic design, and like, it's a lot easier and quicker to just be like, oh, like drag and drop a color fill from the iPad program, like from Procreate, and see how that looks, and then like change it out. I just finished this design. It's like a really cool piece for a show that I'm gonna be in. I can't really say where yet. Gosh, I really want to tell y'all. Maybe by the time this episode comes out, there will be like some kind of press release about it. But like they gave me a color palette to work with.
Oh.
And like for me, I was like, damn, like generally I had full creative freedom except for the colors. And that's something that like more recently I'm like, okay, I'll work with y'all on that. Like if I have design freedom, y'all want certain colors, like that's fine. So yeah,
Kind of makes it interesting, maybe.
It definitely does. And like I'm at my studio right now, but this is like my collective studio. So there's like a few artists in here. And when we are involved in like a collective piece, like say we're putting on a show together, like we'll land on a color palette and then all of us will like make work pertaining to that specific palette. And that just like will unify the show or whatever. So it's something that like more in the more recent years, I'm like, okay, like I'll bite, like I'll take that. But yeah, this new piece that I just completed, I'm so excited about it. I like took pieces from man, I was in Palestine and I was at my grandpa's house and my mom's been like remodeling her dad's house and it was time to like get the floors retiled. So she was like removing any of, in Palestine they don't have like built-in closets, they're like these massive wardrobes. So it was like time to move these wardrobes. And we opened like her stepmom's wardrobe, and Allah yarhamha, she's been gone for a while, but like her thobes were all there. Like it was like 16 thobes maybe. It was like the jackpot. I was like, oh, this is so cool. But yeah, so I like used some of the motifs from one of her thobes for this piece. And
so cool.
But that was like in a traditional like white fabric, red stitching. It was like the peacock design. But I like had to like reimagine it in this different color palette, and it was pretty cool actually. It turned out really nice. Man, I like really was like, oh, I'm not gonna do anything with these though, but like document them. But like, whoa, this is so cool. I love that. And like there's like I don't even know what the Arabic word for this kind of tatreez is, but it's the machine stitched one that's like they like make it on a machine back in the day. Like someone was stitching. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? It's this type of embroidery.
If I see it, maybe.
Man, I have like photos of it. I don't know if I can do like a screen share. Let me see.
You can share with us afterwards. We'll add it.
Okay. I'm over here like I see there it is. Yeah. it's not like a cross stitch at all. It's like someone was drawing flowers on an actual machine, like
Mm.
moving the fabric on these machines. I
Yeah.
forget what the name of this type of embroidery is. One of my like dad's cousins was like well known for this type of stitch. And my mom's stepmom, Satim Nefes, had like a few of them. And I always was just like, I don't like this. It's not cross stitch. Like, I don't
Hmm.
like someone did it on a machine. And my mom was like, girl, someone sat there and like painstakingly like
Yeah.
drew these like gardens on a machine. Like, do you know how hard that is? So
Yeah.
looking at those thobes this spring, I was just like, oh, you know what? It's actually really cool. These are
Yeah.
like really wild.
Yeah, I know that like now a lot of tahriri is done with machine, but it has to similar, it has to be guided. It's still all guided and handwork.
I think
But
that's
the
what it is
machine,
called.
yeah, the machine is doing a lot of the work. Well, it's doing the work as far as like actually like laying the thread down. But you as the artist are guiding the machine and guiding the fabric and the
Hmm.
design. It's
Yeah, it's not
really,
like a
yeah.
computerized like
No, yeah, yeah.
embroidery machine. It was like very
No,
much like someone. I mean, I'm sure the older machines was like that foot like pedal
totally,
like
totally.
situation versus like an electronic thing, but like basically it was like a whole body like
Mm-hmm.
guide the fabric.
Mm-hmm.
But like you see like really cool examples of just like color work on those kind of thobes for sure. Um, yeah, I'm looking at one right now and I'm like, wow.
Okay, we'll
Someone
definitely
drew
share
all of
pictures.
that. For sure, for sure. Yeah. Um, yeah, dude. I love color. Mm.
Oh, we love that you love color. It's so
I'm
cool.
for
It's
it.
so cool.
I get so excited about it.
Yeah. Well, just being mindful of time. If you had to give one piece of advice, I mean, you've given a ton of advice, but if there was like one takeaway you want folks to take away from this interview as it pertains to like building a color palette or just like how they interact with colors or whatever it might be, what would you tell them?
Um, I would definitely like there is a blueprint that has already existed that like our ancestors have laid out for us.
Mm,
So I would say like look at the nature. Like look to nature, look to your surroundings. And now like, we might be surrounded by buildings and whatever, but who knows? Like a brick red like though might be the next big thing. I don't know.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I live in St. Louis. It's known for bricks. It's like the brick
Mm-hmm.
city. But like, yeah, I don't know. I actually brought this book with me for the purpose of talking about this. I don't know. Have you guys seen this thing?
No.
It's like
From what is it called?
it's called From Crown Anemone to Bushy Bean Caper, a field guide to wildflowers in Palestine.
Oh,
I got this in Palestine.
Okay.
At I think it's the Katan Foundation like published it.
Okay.
So, which is like an arts organization out in Ramallah area. But it's like this tiny little, well, it's like thick, but it's tiny,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a color-coded
Mm-hmm.
wildflower
mm.
guide.
Very cool.
So we have our like booms, and
Oh,
then
that is
Beautiful.
yeah, we
amazing.
got our like yellows and all the yellow
Yeah.
flowers in
Okay, this is a
Palestine.
really cool book.
I know, I'm
Yeah.
obsessed with it. I
This is
saw
a
this
really
and
cool
was like,
book.
I want to buy a million of these and take it for everyone. But
Seriously.
books are heavy. Like you got your blues and your purples. And like it's funny
Love.
because I have other like wildflower books, and I feel like maybe it's just like a common thing that they are organized by color
Mm.
because people
Interesting.
are visual people and like color
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
matters. Like
true.
look at how pretty this is.
that
Oh,
is so
love,
I'm
love,
beautiful.
love,
obsessed.
love.
But yeah, the book is yeah, what I said.
We'll
Like
link it. We'll
I
link it.
feel
I'm
like
sure
I
we
do
can
not
find
want to
it.
read and say the title, but that's what it is. Yeah, no, this is a really and the writer is Rima Hamami. Yeah. So
Okay.
Okay.
I would highly suggest looking into that if you want to be inspired by like the colors that our ancestors were surrounded by in Palestine.
I
Beautiful.
love
This
that.
thing. Yeah. And I feel like, I don't know, as a painter, like, embroidery for me is like I do Tatreez, but like I'm more interested in the design aspect of it.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
then like when I get into the painting and all of that, like I definitely like to experiment more. So, and I would just highly suggest people try to experiment as well.
Yes.
I think that like to like play by like some rules is boring. And like to try and like find your own way is what makes things more interesting visually. Even if it's only for you, but generally like if you're doing something that no one else is doing, other people are going to be intrigued by it too. If you're interested in captivating an audience. So that would be my suggestion.
I love it. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Kiki, for the conversation, for the time, for the second time around.
Woohoo!
Yeah, we
It was
love having
awesome.
you.
It was
Actually,
great.
one last question before we let you go. Where can people find you and follow you in case they haven't listened to the first episode, which we will link as well in the show notes, but just in case, where can they find you?
Instagram. On Instagram as Kiki. LOW_KEY_KI. And then also Punk Ass Arab, which is, yeah, look it up.
Okay. We'll link them up. We'll
We'll
link them.
link.
We'll link them for sure.
Thanks,
Thank you.
y'all.
Thank
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 you so
you.
you.
much. Take it easy.
I'm glad we were finally able to get Kiki back on to talk about color theory. As you mentioned, we kind of touched on it a little bit during her first episode, and people had a lot of questions. They always ask me. I know they always ask you about color theory. So it's really nice to sit and have these conversations and see how everyone perceives color as well. Because there's
Mm.
the color theory, the science, but then there's also like your personal perception of color and how you interpret color.
Yeah, totally. And I think, Tatreez is a slow practice, but the colors, it can actually be a very quick experience. Like before you do all the Tatreez, or like you can just play around with the colors on your design. And I think that could be a really fun way to engage with colors without it feeling like a big commitment, and still kind of experiment and try new things. I've been meaning to do this. I feel like if you use Canva, you can import an image and it can take
Yes.
out some of
Yes.
like make a color palette for you.
It does that. Yep.
I've always thought that was a really fun thing to try. Because I remember I remember Hint El Khodari had this beautiful photo of the sunset in Gaza like a
Mm,
year ago maybe. And I just thought the colors that came out of it were so beautiful. And so I actually those were colors that I used in Sophie's project.
mm,
So I think it's, you can definitely just take a photo and
yeah.
pull out some of the colors from the photo. There's
Hmm.
a reason they look really good on the photo, even if it's not
Yeah.
this intentional development of a palette.
As Kiki said, look at nature because God is the best
Yes.
artist. Boom.
I mean, there we go.
Okay, listen, Maddie can bust the shift sometimes. So yeah, but there are so many tools online to help you experiment. I agree with
Yeah.
Kiki about experimenting. Okay, you guys know I'm crazy. So I will go to the store and I will legitimately sit on the floor and lay out thread all over the floor and put them together. I remember once I was at Michael's and I was legit like I just sat on the floor, plopped a bunch of colors together, and there were people like walking by because it's like embroidery thread and also yarn, and I would stop people and ask them. Like there was this there was this couple, I stopped them and I was like, "Can I ask you guys, which color palette are you leaning more towards?" And they were like
Poll in the
giving me
audience. I love
yes.
it.
They were like giving me their thoughts. I was like, "Thank you so much." Like but
That's one
yeah,
way
play
to do
around.
it. That's one way to do it.
Yeah. Play around with things, try different things, ask people, whatever. Like I forgot who said this. Maybe multiple people have said this. But you could definitely do a little sample. Take a little
Yeah.
piece of
Yes.
Ida cloth and do a few stitches of the different colors side by side and see how you like them together. I think there's no wrong answer. And as Kiki said, whatever about rules?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, so good. I love it. I'm so glad we did this.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you all for listening to another episode of the Please Talk. If you love this episode and there's another subject or topic you want us to dive deeper into, please let us know. We definitely take those recommendations. But we also want to hear about your Taltreez journeys. So please share your stories with us at taltreeztalk@gmail.com, and we just might have you on an upcoming episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite listening platform and be sure to leave a 5-star review. You can follow me at Lena Stobe, Amani at Minamani, and of course, follow the pod at Tatreez Talk. We will talk to you soon.